This section is focused on disrupting mobility. We have 4 talks, also in the PechaKucha format. The first is by Michael Lin, and he'll tell us about the PEV, the Persuasive Electric Vehicle. Michael is a PhD student in my group, and he's, again, the kind of person that I typically like to look for, who has a background in design and architecture, but also is, in Michael's case, very good at mechanical engineering. And he's even learning about hardware and software, and he's become an expert in many of these areas. And so his focus is really on reinventing mobility systems for cities, and he'll tell us about PEV, which is a modular, lightweight, shared use, autonomous vehicle designed for first and last miles in central cities. So, Michael Lin.
Thank you, Ken. Bon dia. I just want to point out that my team member is actually here. We have roughly about 6 people working in Andorra for the past 1 week. And then so you guys, there will be a demo session tomorrow afternoon out there. You will be seeing some of the technology that I'll be presenting later on. So this is one of the original idea of the PEV. It's designed for shared use. It operates on the bike lane. It folds up in order to save some spaces. It provides some cover so you don't get affected when the weather is bad. You can pedal. It has motor, so you can pedal lightly. It comes with the cell phone apps. A lot of Media Lab projects comes with this kind of animations. And then since when I began working with Ken, we start to push the project a little bit further, changing the idea, adding one more function, so make a motor function that you can have people mover mode where you have to pedal. On the other hand, you can do autonomous package delivery. So here's a lot of Media Lab projects started from like a wooden prototype. Later on, we built the aluminum chassis. With the support of our sponsor, Denso, we actually brought the vehicle to CES to showcase. And then meanwhile, there's various different versions of the PEV that's been prototyped. Everything is open source. Everything is actually laser cut. It's actually focusing on operating on the bike lane. This is a street right in front of the MIT, and we've been running the testing for the past 2 weeks in Cambridge. Next slide, thank you. So the technology behind it is actually very simple. You have some sensors, you have some cameras, you have the LiDARs, you have a chip embedded system. We're using open source softwares. So this is one of the reasons why we brought the PEV to Andorra, because we want to share what we learned. We want the people here, the students, the kids here to have the access to the similar kind of technology. It's not expensive at all. The PEV, the total cost of the PEV right now would be roughly around $6,000 to make it full autonomous. This is one that people will be wondering, what's happening inside the autonomous vehicle? So this is what the vehicles see. So you have these laser beams that's shooting around the environment, on the other hand, building a map. So you see all these points. This is actually the courtyard of the Media Lab. So by operating this vehicle on the street, we'll be able to build a high-resolution map. And we're actually hoping to build a similar map in Andorra. Computer vision, we have the cameras, using chip cameras, trying to identify the lane. So in this case, the color is blue, meaning it's very confident. It will start to change to blue when the infrastructure is not so perfect. So one thing, and this is another example of the computer vision where we actually we try to recognize the traffic lights and then try to identify the color. When it's red, the PEV has to stop. When it's green, the PEV is free to go. There will be, and the next slide will be showing another example of using computer vision to see the world. So this is Andorra. So nowadays you can actually use some of the deep learning algorithm try to detect the object in front of it. A person, a truck, the truck is coming by, and sometimes you can even pick up handbags. There's roughly 60, 80 different type of classifications that we can train the system now. At the lab, we like to combine fun and the project. So you see Ken is right over there. So combining the LiDAR and the camera system, you can actually do this. You can put the Lego guy right in the virtual environment where it indicates the person is coming in, so the PEV will try to go around the person. So this is obstacle avoidance. It's a combination of a couple of different technologies. On the other hand, the students, that's working on this. You can see it's actually, PEV is actually thinking, trying to not run into the person. First of all, this is a lightweight autonomous vehicle. So you don't have to be worried if you are standing in front of the PEV, it will stop for you until the way is clear. And then this is actually, I have to say, this is Ken's idea. It's a very interesting idea where you can actually use a very simple QR code type of code. It's called the April tag, where you can use the camera to pick up the tag. You will see tag ID number 3 showing over there. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. So this is in reality. When we were running the testing a couple of weeks ago in Cambridge, we actually spray paint the April tag on the floor. And this tag will be we can use it as a waypoint for a low-cost autonomous technology. So embed the sensors, embed this kind of graffiti on the floor to help the vehicle to do the navigation. On the other hand, the team is also, Phil is leading a team doing this human-vehicle interaction. So you see Nick standing in front of the PEV, the light color will start to change, and this is what we're thinking how the autonomous vehicle could actually communicate with the pedestrians. On the other hand, there will be apps that we'll be developing where you can use the app to call the PEV will come to pick you up, and then you can use that similar app, you can use the same app to reserve a PEV as well. This is the demo that I did last year, same jacket, same shoes, and then we're using the April tag. As you see back then, we didn't even have the body yet. So this is an ongoing project. To be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I know that we have a good team, we have good sponsors when people are dedicated into the project and want to push the project further. So let's skip this slide. Sorry about that. That should be trimmed into 20 minutes. But this is a testing video that's actually operating in front of the Cambridge. So you see the sunlight. And the purpose for this testing is actually test out the computer vision performance under the sunlight. I have to be honest. Now PEV will get scared and afraid of its own shadow. When it's seeing its own shadow, it recognizes the land, so the system is not quite there yet. But when there's a situation without the shadow, then it's totally fine. This is roughly 1 or 2 a.m. in front of Cadell. And then the team has been working in there and working with the police, working with the NURIA, trying to set up the space so we don't scare other people because it's running autonomously inside the courtyard without anyone driving it, especially 2 a.m. You know, it's kind of scary sometimes. On the other hand, we have a team that's looking at multimodal transit. You will see public transportation system, you will see people moving, you see package moving. So what we want to do is actually looking at the city as a whole, trying to analyze all the flows, package flow, people flow in combination with the transportation system and see if we can design a better system for the vehicle. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael.